All right, let's talk about something really fascinating today. A mental trait we're calling cognitive independence. It's that quality that seems to give some people this built-in immunity to all the viral trends that are constantly sweeping the globe.
So have you ever had this happen to you? A new challenge, some viral dance, a gadget everyone has to have. It just takes over your social media feeds. Everyone's talking about it. But you just don't feel the pull. You're not excited, you're not even curious, you're just neutral.
And if you felt that way, I bet you've wondered if maybe you're just out of the loop or you're falling behind the times. But what if that feeling, that indifference, isn't a social weakness at all? What if it's actually a sign of a really profound mental strength?
Okay, so first things first, let's just completely dismantle this common myth. The idea that if you don't follow trends, it just means you're out of touch with culture.
To really get why most people do follow trends, we have to look at this super powerful psychological force. It's called normative social influence. That's just the fancy scientific term for that deep-seated pressure to fit in, to be liked, and to avoid that awful feeling of being left out.
And this social pressure, it's not a one-and-done thing. Oh no. It actually creates this powerful feedback loop. We look for approval from the group, we conform to get that approval, and then that feeling of acceptance, well, it reinforces the behavior. It makes us way more likely to do it again the next time a trend pops up.
So this really shows two very different ways of processing the world around us. For most people, it's that external loop, right? You see a trend, you feel the pressure, you conform, and you get the approval. But there's a totally different path. That's the one where the check-in happens internally. A trend pops up, and you measure it against your own values and interests. And the result? Usually you just feel neutral, and you move on.
So what's actually going on in the brain to create these two totally different responses? Well, this brings us to the science behind these two social forces.
It pretty much boils down to a battle for validation happening right inside your brain. On one side, you've got the external dopamine loop. That's the reward you get from social approval, from the likes, the shares. But on the other side, you have internal validation. That quiet satisfaction that comes from just acting in a way that feels true to your own principles.
And let's be really clear here. Looking for external validation isn't some kind of flaw. For most of human history, fitting in with the tribe was literally a survival mechanism. So our brains are pretty much wired to prioritize social harmony and acceptance. It's a powerful default setting for most of us.
But if you're one of those people who feels immune to all this, it suggests your brain has a different default setting. It's running on a different operating system, one that doesn't need to check in with the crowd for its next move.
And this brings us to what's really going on here. We can finally put a name to this trait: cognitive independence. So here it is, the most crucial point of all. You are not out of touch. You're not behind the times. You are simply operating from a different and very powerful cognitive framework.
What this means is you are essentially immune to what some people call digital conditioning. I mean, think about that. In a world where algorithms are literally designed to shape our behavior and get us to conform, that kind of immunity, it's basically a superpower.
So what is cognitive independence? It's the ability to rely on your own internal standards for validation. It's being able to form judgments and make decisions that are independent of all that external social pressure.
And this really is the main takeaway. What you might have worried was some kind of social bug is actually a feature. It's a recognized psychological strength that allows for way more authenticity and resilience in a world that is constantly pressuring you to conform. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. In a world that is literally built on influence, with everyone and everything competing for our attention, what is the true value of being able to clearly hear and, more importantly, to trust your own inner voice?